And then I'm going to.
Barbara, you can hear me.
Yes, Nancy, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear you, so I didn't know what was wrong. I was trying to mute myself, but not you.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and all righty. Okay. All righty. So welcome to everybody. I'm glad that everybody was able to make it. Today's class, as you could see, is titled Good to the Last Drop. And I kind of wanted to just kind of go into some ideas of facts and hacks. Now, the reason for Good to the Last Drop is for two reasons. One is because I have a few oils that I use all the time. And, you know, I'm finding that, you know, when I get down to the very bottom, it's like I can see more oil in there, but, you know, it's not coming out. And so, you know, what are you doing? You're pounding it into your, you know, into your palm. And so basically the idea is that these oils are good to the last drop, right? You want to get every last drop out of that bottle before you throw it into what I have is I have a graveyard box. I probably should actually bring it to show everybody, but it's an actual box, and it's you know, it's a good size box, and I labeled it graveyard, and so I put all my old bottles in there. And so appropriately so, at the end of this class, we're going to talk a bit about some you know, just some things and ways that we can use our old bottles, right? Some ways that we can you know, recycle our old bottles. So that's at the very end of the class that we'll talk about some of that. But at the very beginning, I just kind of want to go over just a couple things. But like I say, you know, the essential oils, we're going to talk a lot about what is in a drop. We're going to talk about cost of one drop. We're going to talk about the benefits of one drop. I also have just some different, some recipes and some things. So anyway, as always, it was fun putting the class together. But like I say, the topic of the class is good to the last drop. And the motivation, not the motivation, but the inspiration was, remember back when we were kids, we used to always, you know, on the TV, you know, Maxwell House was very popular when I was a kid. And we used to always hear that little commercial, you know, good to the last drop, Maxwell House, right? So that was the inspiration behind, you know, I mean, the inspiration was me trying to get the oil out of my bottle, the very last drop. But then it came into my mind about that little commercial and the jingle, good to the last drop, Maxwell House. So anyway, it was just kind of a funny little, you know, inspiration for myself. So anyway, a drop of oil a day, just one drop of oil a day is enough to keep the doctor away. And I know a lot of people, you know, we used to always talk about an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And that's also true, right? A carrot a day and a, you know, a pineapple a day and a cantaloupe, right? All of our fruits and vegetables, we understand that they are very beneficial for keeping, you know, our old bodies healthy and trying to, you know, keep going as long as we possibly can. We know that we're getting older, but we don't have to get older with all kinds of health problems. So just a drop of day oftentimes is enough to keep the doctor away. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the benefits of just one drop of oil at a time. Okay, whether it's lavender, whether it's lemon, whether it's peppermint, we're going to talk a lot about those three oils right at this particular time. I am taking lemon, lavender, and peppermint every single day, and I'm going to tell you why. So the greatest medicine of all is to teach people how not to need it, right? We don't want, and I probably should do a class about all of my medicines, right? Because as I'm doing, I'm a medical coder, And as I code, oftentimes there's a list of all of the patient's medications, right? And I was looking at a particular patient yesterday, and this guy was on just a ton of medications. Very few of them were medications that I would say, are safe, right? There was a few supplements, but a lot of it was just pharmaceuticals. Now, I'm not saying that we should not take pharmaceuticals when necessary. But what I am saying is sometimes we could take something and be proactive so that we don't have to take all those pharmaceuticals. All right. We're going to talk about that just in a few minutes, but just Lou, could you mute yourself, please? Thank you. So we're going to talk just a little bit about what is an essential oil. Okay, for all we do have a few. Lou, I think I'm going to have to mute you because for some reason, Lou, I can't mute you. But if you can go ahead and mute yourself. Okay. So anyway, an essential oil, what are they? They're natural aromatic compounds. They're found in the seeds of a plant, the bark of the tree, the stem of the plant, the roots of the plant, the flowers, and other parts of plants as well. And essential oils have been used throughout history in many cultures for their medicinal and for their therapeutic benefits. Long before Big Pharma came on the scene, God had already given to us medicine. And that medicine was found in nature that he created for us. And it was up to us to harvest it. It was up to us to figure it out. It was up, and there's just so many plants that are good for so many different things. And so we're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. But first, what I wanted to do, let me close my blinds a little bit. All right. What I wanted to do first is I wanted to kind of give some fun and fast facts about essential oils. There's a lot of things that I know and a lot of things that others don't know as well. And so what I wanted to do was just to provide some fast facts for essential oils. Alrighty, let's go ahead and advance this. All right, here we go. So there's one, did you know that the doctors, or some doctors in Europe and in the medical community there in Europe, they prescribe oils to be taken internally in addition to, or even in place of pharmaceuticals. When was the last time you ever went to the doctor and they said, hey, you have strep throat. Here's some oregano. Here's some tea tree. Here's some lemon. Here's some eucalyptus. Take this in these particular ways to cure yourself. When was the last time that's ever happened to you? Never, right? Never. There are actually communities, and even it's becoming more and more popular here in America, that there are actual clinics that are opening up. I know doTERRA is opening them up throughout the United States, little by little, to where you go and essential oils are a part of the healthcare protocol. And I think that's absolutely wonderful, right? Because I would much rather, take some oregano than to take, amoxicillin or azithromycin, right? So when diffused, did you know that some oils have the ability to remove any toxins or metallic particles from the air? They've actually done studies on samples of the air before and after diffusing essential oils, certain ones, and they actually found that the parts per million or the ppm, that the values of certain types of, whether they're allergens, whether they're microbes, that they were actually found to either reduce significantly or altogether reduce due to that essential oil being diffused. So essential oils being diffused does a lot of good for us. I know right behind me right now, I'm diffusing wild orange and Siberian fir. And let me tell you, my room smells wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Now, did you know that less than 1% of the entire plant species, okay, so this is for all of those who say that, doTERRA is, cutting down all the trees and all of that. Not so at all. Less than 1% of the entire plant species population even produces essential oil. Okay, so that means that for every 100 plants, trees, flowers, roots, only one of that 100 is actually even valuable for an essential oil. Now that's as we know right now, okay? That number might change. Now, did you know that our sense of smell directly is tied to the limbic area of the brain, which is considered the emotional control center? I thought that was really, really interesting because I absolutely love talking about the limbic system of the brain. It is an absolutely powerful area of the brain. We are driven in many ways by our emotions, by smells, by feelings, right? How are you feeling right at this very moment, right? Did you know that you can actually help yourself using essential oils in the idea of smelling those essential oils? Because our olfaction, which is the sense of smell, is the fastest way to introduce substances to our bodies. Is going to be through that olfaction. Okay, and not only that, is that sense of smell is literally the first of all the senses to develop in utero. I thought that was really interesting. Now, did you know essential oils cannot be patented? For obvious reasons, right? I also wanted to bring out the idea, and did you know, now this is something that not a lot of people would even understand what this word is. It's sesquiterpenes. Did you know that they are found in oils and they have the ability, this is a molecule, they have the ability to pass through what's called the blood-brain barrier. And they have the unique, very unique ability to help treat brain diseases such as Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, depression, anxiety, insomnia, the list goes on. Any type of traumatic brain injury, they are doing so many studies on particular oils, essential oils such as copaiba, frankincense, and others that are able to reach areas of the brain that modern pharmaceuticals just cannot. I think that's pretty amazing if you ask me. Now, did you know that diffusing essential oils can actually help increase the atmospheric oxygen in a room? Now, there's a class that I had done some months ago, and I was talking all about essential oils and for brain health, just all of our neurological functions. And I did talk about the way that essential oils are actually able to do that, which is one of the reasons why they're very good for any kind of neurological function. Now, remember, our brain it calls on more oxygen than any other organ in our body. Our brain needs a tremendous amount of oxygen. That's why essential oils are so good for the brain health. We're going to talk about some different ways that we can actually introduce these oils into our bodies. I thought this was really interesting. For one lemon, okay, you take one lemon, there are only 5, if you distill the peel of that lemon, you will only get 5 drops of essential oil. That was pretty amazing. That was pretty amazing. 5 drops for one lemon. That's pretty incredible. And then neroli oil, which is the orange blossom. So it's not the orange, but it's the orange blossom. And if anybody has ever smelled neroli, oh my goodness, it's very quickly became one of my favorites when doTERRA did the free neroli. I'm not sure if it was in a BOGO box or if it was a product of the month. I don't know how I got it, but I got it. And my goodness, when I started using it, I was hooked. I mean, it is a beautiful smelling oil. But did you know that neroli oil or orange blossom is one of the most expensive essential oils on the market? It takes 1,000 pounds of orange blossoms to make 1 pound of neroli oil. That's a huge ratio. Another really interesting fact, did you know Captain James Cook first mentioned tea tree oil in 1772 during his voyage to Botany Bay, Australia, which is where tea tree oil comes from, one of the places. He and his crew made a tea from the leaves to prevent scurvy. Back in 1772, that was a long time ago, essential oils were being used long before amoxicillin, long before penicillin, long before some of those other and I'm not saying anything about penicillin because I believe that penicillin is a wonderful tool of the many tools that we have to keep ourselves healthy and well. Okay, so I've got 2 more fast facts. The first would be testing the purity of your oil. And I've shared about this before, and I think somebody had actually done it. If you want to test the purity of your essential oil, you take a piece of construction paper. You put 1 drop of the oil on the construction paper, and then you go ahead and let it, dry after 15 minutes. If there's nothing left behind after 15 minutes, that oil, you can consider it pure. If there's an oil ring, it is not pure. I thought that was pretty interesting. I would like somebody, to do that. I could probably do it myself, but I'm too absent-minded, I forget. But that would be a very interesting little experiment, just to see how pure, to see, the validity of that statement. And the last of my did you knows, which I thought was pretty interesting, is that during the 17th century, if you were caught using herbs or oils for medicinal reasons, you would be hanged as a witch. So that would mean pretty much everybody on the Zoom would be dead. I thought that was pretty interesting, actually. Now, here's one more did you know. That 1 drop of peppermint oil is equal to 28 cups of peppermint tea. You know what that tells me? That 1 drop of peppermint oil is super duper concentrated, super duper strong. 1 drop of peppermint oil is roughly about 8 cents. I think it's actually less than that. And I've got a list coming up soon. My whole point in that is that oils are not only affordable, they are literally only pennies per dose. Okay, because a dose of oil for anything that we might need it for would be 1 to 3 drops. Okay, no more than that do you need for a dose. All right, so how many drops are in a 5 ml bottle of any oil, not just peppermint, any oil? 85 drops. How many drops are in a 15 ml bottle of oil? 250 drops. How many drops are in a 9 ml roller bottle, which is usually diluted, except if you're buying Immortelle, of course, usually diluted, 150 drops, okay? Now, these oils are unbelievably affordable. Unbelievably affordable. I thought that this graphic was very interesting, so I decided to just, include it. Basically, it's kind of reiterating what I was saying. The drop count is off by maybe 1, 2, or 3, just because, there's always that little variation, 1 drop or 2, it's a very minute little difference, but sometimes you might be able to fit 1 extra drop in 1 bottle and you couldn't in another, or how far are you filling it up? There's all those little variables, but I just thought that it was interesting just to show the essential oil bottle sizes and how many drops are in each of those various sizes. Now this, I thought was kind of interesting. I had to do a little bit of playing with this particular graphic to get it to fit on here properly. But let me see if peppermint is on here. I want to, no, peppermint is not on here. Of course, it's not going to be on here, right? Okay, because I wanted to compare.
It's there and it's shown as 7 cents.
7 cents, okay. And on the other slide, it said 8 cents. So it's roughly, 7 to 8 cents per drop. All depends on, sometimes the prices, vary. But I wanted to include this just to show how cheap these oils really are. When you're talking about using 1 drop or 2, or at the very most 3, it's very, very cheap. It's very, very affordable. It's very, very effective. It's very, very safe, right? And so when you compare this to, to pharmaceuticals, and we're going to talk a little bit about that here in just a minute, but I just want to just show just how wonderfully effective and safe and cheap these oils actually are. Okay, it's actually the solutions that is in nature for our health, right? It addresses the problem, just masking the symptoms, right? That's really, really important, because we can go around all day long, throwing Tylenol at a headache. But are you really getting down to the core, to the root of the problem? And that's what I did for many years. I mean, I used to wake up with migraine, not just a headache, with a migraine. And I was down. And this was happening so often, like maybe every other month. And when you talk about every other month, or maybe even, more frequent than that, I mean, you're talking 1 whole day is down completely with a migraine. That's how my migraines were anyway. I was down for a whole day. And the next day I called it a migraine hangover. I was kind of like floating, like I wasn't really all the way there. I was throwing Tylenol with codeine, Excedrin, ibuprofen. I was throwing all of these products into my body to try to cure, not cure, take away the headache. There's a difference. I had no idea why I was getting them. I mean, I had, my little, hunches of why I was getting them. But I mean, they were so bad. I was throwing up, terrible migraines. I mean, your whole body from head to toe. I was in bed. The only time I got out of bed was either to stumble over to the kitchen to get some more water, or stumble into the bathroom to get sick. When I started taking essential oils, and in particular, a product called Lifelong Vitality, which I'm not talking about today, but an entire class could be devoted, and I have in times past. When I started taking that product, I could not believe it was as though a switch just turned off. Instead of addressing the symptom, I was addressing the problem. Seems like a no-brainer, right? Now, these solutions that we're talking about, they are very affordable, literally pennies per dose, like we were just talking about. They are available at home immediately. You don't have to beg a doctor for some prescription. I mean, tell me why that is anyway. Tell me why we go to a doctor and it's whatever he says. In other words, we have no say in our own health. Excuse me? This is my body and I'm going to go ahead and take charge of it, right? Anyway, essential oils, they have no side effects with the proper recommended uses, or usage, I should say. So it's very, very important that we, understand the fact that we have solutions. We don't have to just follow along blindly, with whatever, doctors might tell us. And I'm not in any way downgrading doctors. I mean, I wanted to be a doctor myself. I mean, they go through a lot of school. They know the body inside out, upside down, right? Totally. I totally trust what a doctor says, but I also trust myself. And so why couldn't it be some of what he says, some of what I say, right? That's where essential oils, I believe, come in to the picture, okay? So, and sometimes all it is we just have to have just a little bit of knowledge, because knowledge is very powerful. Now, understand just a few key things that a lot of people might not know. If you come to my class often, you know, this is something that you will know because I talk about it often. Bacteria. Bacteria resides outside of our cells, okay? Bacteria does not pass through. Viruses, however, reside inside the cell. Now, what's the significance of that? The significance of that is when you go to a doctor and that doctor says, look, you have a bacterial strep. You have an ear infection caused by a bacterial agent. Okay. What is that physician going to do? He's going to prescribe you an antibiotic. Why? Because he's trying to take care of a bacterial agent, okay, that's infected your body, okay? Some bacteria is fine. A lot of bacteria is not fine. We've got bacteria all over us, inside and out, everywhere, on every surface that you touch. Bacteria is good in many ways. We need bacteria. We need a lot of it in our gut. Too much of it is not good. Too little of it is also not good. So there's that fine balance. But when we have a bacterial infection, antibiotics can help to kill that bacteria. Problem is antibiotics are overly prescribed, overly used. And so we have bacteria that are actually resistant to antibiotics. Those are your MRSAs, right? And others. Now, viruses, unlike bacteria, are not even alive. Okay, they are not. A bacteria is actually an organism. A virus is not. Okay, it's an agent. And viruses are very, very particular about where they can preside or reside. They must have a cell host. Okay, now that host, what the host does is it gives it everything it needs. It's kind of like, you know, somebody coming into your home and just kind of taking over your house, right? You're providing the house and he's just coming in and taking everything over, right? That's what a virus does. They come into our house, our body, and they take over. Okay, now viruses and bacteria, that both can be very, very damaging, very, very deadly, but viruses have a unique ability to not only take over, but to also change the way that they look. So our immune system that at one time was recognizing it, now all of a sudden it's like in hiding and it can't recognize it anymore. That is the proliferation of a virus. That's exactly how it happens, okay? And so before our bodies can fight off what now it's recognizing, it changes. And so now our bodies are clueless again, right? And so it's all about immune strength. Very much about immune strength. We have got to have healthy immune systems. That is just so important. Anyway, I'm not going to keep on going because I need to advance this slide, but pharmaceuticals, just understand, cannot get into our cell where the virus is residing. That's why when you go to the doctor and he says, hey, you have a virus, whether it's pneumonia, it could be a bacterial pneumonia too. Well, let's say it's a viral, or let's say it's the flu. Okay, it's a virus. What is the doctor going to do? A lot of times the doctor prescribes you antibiotics anyway to try to take care of some of the symptoms, but a pharmaceutical, a drug, an antibiotic will not take care of destroying a virus because it operates differently. Okay, it cannot even reach the virus because viruses are inhabiting a cell. So because the pharmaceuticals cannot penetrate that membrane, they can only mask your symptoms, okay? Essential oils, on the other hand, they can penetrate the cell membrane. So not only do they eliminate the bacteria that resides outside, but they can also eliminate the virus, which resides inside. Now, if you ask me, that is a beautiful symphony. Not only can it take care of all of those problems, but with no side effects whatsoever. No side effects whatsoever. And as we already showed, very affordable. Now, one thing to understand, and I was just talking about this a minute ago about the drug-resistant, bacteria. Drugs actually depress the immune system. Now, why is that? Why do drugs depress the immune system? Okay, let's look at it in terms of like somebody who's lifting weights, right? The more you lift, the stronger your muscles get, right? But if you stop lifting, well, what's going to happen? Your muscles go back and they atrophy and they just go back to the jello that they were before, right? Like mine are, I don't know what I got there, but it doesn't seem like a bicep to me. Now, with your immune system, as you use it, it gets stronger. The same analogy that I used with the weights. However, if you're taking an antibiotic, what that antibiotic is going in there, it is taking over. It's taking place of your immune system. And so your immune system just sits on the sidelines, right? Not being used. So what happens? It literally gets weaker. Our immune system is one of the most important systems that we possess, because without it, we will die very young. That's why kids, you notice how God put it in a child to always be putting things in their mouth. Why is that? There's a reason behind it. God had a very good reason, because the more things a child puts in their mouth, the more exposure they have to bacteria, to viruses, to allergens, to microbes, to all of those things that are out in nature that can ultimately hurt us. If what? If our immune system is not strong, cannot recognize it. So it's something that's put in to however God has done it. Children are always putting things in their mouth. I'm amazed when I look at my grandchildren. I mean, as young as 3 months old, and little Lando's got, everything is going in the mouth, right? That is God's plan. That's God's way. Okay, it's not like the child just thought this up, like, oh, a cell phone. I think, no, it's God that put that in for a very good reason. Anyway, I just thought that, I know I kind of go off into these little tangents sometimes, and I'm very sorry. So if you're new, bear with me. If you're old, you're used to this. So anyway, okay, so essential oils versus drugs. Okay, so essential oils are natural, drugs are synthetic. Essential oils are complex. They are very complex molecules, okay? Now, essential oils are only pennies per drop. When you go to the pharmacy and you pick up your prescriptions, most of the time you could see, it's like, oh my goodness, this is very expensive, especially if you're on pharmaceuticals for long periods of time, and many of them. Oils treat the problem, just as we talked about. Drugs treat or mask the symptoms. Okay, now that I'm not saying that an antibiotic cannot or will not kill a bacterial infection. I'm not saying that at all. Okay, so I don't want, no way do I want anybody to, just throw away, an antibiotic that a doctor has given to them for, a urinary tract infection or a bacterial strep or bacterial pneumonia. Certainly never would even, ever suggest that. But I do want people to understand that prescription drugs are the 4th leading cause of death in the United States. And do you know those nurses in the hospitals, they have more training on pharmaceuticals than they have training on the human body. And if you don't believe that, I could show you the difference between me and my daughter. My daughter's in nursing school. She knows prescriptions and pharmaceuticals up and down. I know the human body. And I didn't go to nursing school. And there are things that she's clueless with the human body that I know because of anatomy and physiology that was what I was very strong in college. When she went off to nursing school, it's all about mental health. It's about prescriptions. It's about, administration of the prescriptions. It's all about these systems that they have in place in the hospitals to prevent adverse reactions toward the medications. Very, very important it is, but it's a huge part of the nursing profession. So they understand very much this statistic that prescription drugs are such a high leading cause of death, not just an adverse event, which is that's a very, very careful thing in any hospital system. We're talking about death. Now, understanding with essential oils, when they're used properly, essential oils are safe with virtually no side effects. Okay, so I wanted to just kind of show the difference between plant medicine and drugs. And so it's just, to me, this is just so, it's huge to me because it in my mind, it's like a no-brainer, right? I want to use plant medicine as much as I possibly can, right? And the simple fact that, those did you know facts that I gave at the beginning of class, that if you were caught using, herbs or oils, you'd be hung as a witch, right? Good thing we don't have that law anymore going on in the United States. All right, so here are some of the 10 top oils that doTERRA sells. So we've got frankincense for anything, brain related, neurological related, but it's also very good for our immune system and also very good for our skin, our tissues, our connective tissues, all of those things. Lavender, sleep, stress. We're going to talk a little bit about sleep in a little bit. We're also going to talk about seasonal threats, such as allergies, right? Very good for coughs. Tea tree, the same thing. Very, very good for any type of a cold or, those types of things. Very good for anything skin related, good for the gums and for, those types of issues. Lemon is wonderful, not only the way that it smells, it's very uplifting, gives you energy, but it's very, very good for any type of a detox. Okay, that's why it's very, very good for lemon to always be putting into your body because it helps to detox. You've got peppermint, very, very good for digestion. And it's also very good for those seasonal allergies that we're going to talk about. Oregano is a powerhouse for our immune system, a powerhouse. Okay, I do not want to underscore, or wait a minute, I want to underscore oregano because it is very, very, very powerful. It's not the oil that I use so much, but it is an oil that should be used constantly. I don't use it as much as I should. Digestin, very, very good for anything GI related. Good for nausea, good for heartburn, good for motion sickness, good for IBS, good for constipation, good for diarrhea. It is so good for so many things. It's one of the top selling oil blends that doTERRA has. Then there's On Guard, again, immune support. And not only that, this oil smells wonderful. If you diffuse this oil, you will notice how wonderful your home smells. Breathe, sinuses, coughing, congestion, lungs, people that are on CPAPs, absolutely love this oil. There's actually an adapter that you can buy for your CPAP to use Breathe. And it is so, so good to keep those airways open. And then there's Deep Blue. Now Deep Blue, last week we talked, I asked the folks that were there or that were at the class, I asked them to talk just briefly about their favorite oils. And I was very surprised that at the end of the class, Deep Blue was the winner. more people spoke about Deep Blue and the good that it does for them than any other oil. And I thought that that was very interesting, actually, because it's not always the oil that I think about as my favorite. But I do use that Deep Blue rub often because I don't know, for some reason, sitting, I'm working remotely, I'm spending many hours sitting, and boy, my back is definitely, it's paying the price. All right, Tri-Ease. I wanted to talk about this just a little bit because we talked about the seasonal threats on the slide before. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that there is a product that is available for folks who have allergies. I see people suffering with allergies and I feel terrible about just the, you know, their eyes and their nose and their throat, and they just feel miserable. There are products, but there is a product called Tri-Ease that you must try if you suffer with allergies. It has in it, it has lemon peel, peppermint plant, and lavender flower. And this is a wonderful product. And if you are not taking it, start taking it before your symptoms start. Okay, before. Last week, after our worship, me and one of the Christians here, we went to go and visit one of the elderly. And I don't know what it was, if it was something in her house, if it was something on the way to her house, but all of a sudden my eyes were burning so bad. It was terrible. I went home, I grabbed my Tri-Ease. Thankfully, I had bought a bottle just before this because I knew I might have needed it or somebody else was going to need it. And I had a bottle on hand. And I've been taking them every single day. And guess what? I don't have those symptoms anymore. So I'm just telling you, just try it out. You will be very, very happy. So you can give nature a second chance, right? You know, people who don't go out, well, you can maybe go out if, you know, you're taking a product that will help. And what this does is it doesn't just mask the symptoms. It actually goes to the root cause. But that is a whole another topic that I don't have the time to go into. All right, wanted to talk just a little bit about cold and flu balm. All right, I've got a couple of slides that rather than, you know, taking Tylenol for when you're not feeling good, why don't you try this and have it handy? Get a 10 ml roller bottle. If you don't have one, let me know. I will send you one. You put 10 drops of frankincense, 10 drops of melaleuca, which now is called tea tree. It's the same product, it's called tea tree. 10 drops of On Guard, 15 drops of lemon, 10 drops of oregano, and just keep it handy. Apply to your feet and to the back of your neck hourly for 5 hours at the first sign of a cold, and then 4 to 6 times a day until the cold is gone. What about that? Rather than running to the doctor and getting, you know, a Z-Pack or something. Why don't you try it? You might like it. Cheaper? You don't have to take the trip to the doctor. Now, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor if you need to go to the doctor. I'm just saying this might help. This is another flu balm recipe. Now, this is an internally used flu balm recipe. You put 4 drops of lemon oil, 2 drops of oregano, 2 drops of melaleuca or tea tree, 2 drops of On Guard, and 2 drops of frankincense in a veggie cap. Pop it down the hatch, drink a lot of water with it at the first sign of your cold or your flu symptoms. My daughter used to come to my house at the first sign of getting sick and she'd say, "Mom, could you please make me a flu balm?" All right. And I would put these oils in or other oils because there's a lot of interchange with these oils. And bam, there you go. Or you can triple that, put it in some FCO, put it in a 10 ml roller bottle. Once again, shake it up, put it on the bottom of your feet, or you can put these oils in a diffuser. Now here's a kid size immune balm. You can make this, put it in your child's hand, of course, if they're old enough, and let them put it on their feet. Let them put it on the back of their neck. Let them be empowered to be able to take care of of their not feeling well. This is for an ear infection. Now, I'm making sure everybody understands that this whole class is going to be uploaded to YouTube. So if there's anything that you've missed, let me double check. I am recording this class, right? Oops. I believe I started the recording.
You did. You did.
Okay, okay, good, thank you. Okay, so this is I just want to let everybody know that everything is going to be on YouTube, so you can check, or if you want to take some snapshots of some of these for an ear infection or an earache, look at the choices that you have. You don't have to take pharmaceuticals if you don't want to. Okay, small cotton pad, put it in the air, put it in your ear. You don't have to do the tape or the headband if you don't want. I would just recommend just, maybe laying down or whatever, replace it as necessary. Try it. You might like it. So I have an oil for so many different issues that you might have. There is not a health issue that somebody has presented to me that I was not able to find an oil that could help in some way. I think that's pretty amazing. And so this is just a small sampling of what is available to help with whatever situation you might be dealing with. I wanted to talk just a little bit about Copaiba because I absolutely love Copaiba. I recommend Copaiba. What I do is I try to show people that if you want to take CBD, you might want to consider Copaiba. And I'm going to show you why. So Copaiba is good for antioxidants. Now, we talked about antioxidants in times past. Very, very high in antioxidants. Taken internally can help your your nervous system. It's very good for your skin and very, very good to soothe, to support, to calm your nervous system. In other words, if you know somebody who suffers with anxiety, ADHD, autism, those types of things, this is an oil that very well might work. Now, CBD versus Copaiba, take a screenshot of this if you want. There is very good reason why you should take Copaiba and not CBD. Now, I'm not saying that CBD doesn't help for certain things, but with Copaiba, there are no psychoactive cannabinoids. There is no way that anybody can say, well, it's altering your what do you call, altering your, I don't know, making you high. I don't know how to say it, altering your brain, whatever. There are so many published studies using Copaiba, and it is a very, very good oil. It's got direct receptor activation. So there's just a lot of reasons why I would suggest Copaiba as opposed to CBD, okay? The cost alone is, incredible, all right? And I know Luke could probably talk a lot about the Copaiba at the end of class. He probably will because he loves talking about cannabinoids and all of that kind of stuff. Now, Copaiba soft gels. I wanted to put this out there for those of you who like very quick and easy type things, which is I'm one of them. I take a lot of supplements, and this would be one of them that would be very, very helpful for our body to take internally. Okay, you see all the benefits that it provides. It's a wonderful, wonderful product. Want to talk about headaches? All right. Headaches. What type of headache do you have here? This was something that I used to do all the time. I wanted to know, what kind of headache? Do I really have a headache? Do I really have a migraine? Or is it maybe a tension or a sinus or a cluster? I can tell you I've had every one of these types of headaches. But the migraine is the one that usually keeps you getting sick and in the bathroom over the toilet all day long. That's the migraine. And that is, I would say, by far the worst migraine, or the worst type of headache, I'm sorry. Now, I find it very interesting at this particular slide, and I just now noticed it, that what I gravitate to when I have a headache or a migraine is deep blue. And so I find it very interesting that, deep blue is the one that's recommended the most for a migraine. The reason for that, I believe, is because when I'm suffering a migraine, my smell is on high alert. So when I use an oil like peppermint, although peppermint is in deep blue, but it's much more subtle because it's overpowered by the menthol that's in deep blue. Past tense, forget it. Keep past tense miles away from me if I've got a migraine. Matter of fact, if I even smell past tense, it triggers something in my mind that reminds me about my last migraine. Only because I've tried it for migraines. It's amazing how our sense of smell works. Unbelievably amazing. So deep blue is what I use for migraines. And I know a young lady she's in the Columbia congregation, and she was asking me about migraines. And she tried the deep blue, and she was wonderfully surprised at how well it worked for migraines. So every headache is going to respond to a different oil. All right. So here is just a few little recipes that if anybody would like to take a snapshot, go ahead and try it. Let me know how it works. All righty. We are going to talk about sleeping like a baby. I wanted to put one of my grandkids on here, but then I thought no, because my kids would probably get mad. They're like, Mom, why are you putting my kid on there? Anyway, sleeping like a baby, and this baby's so sweet. All righty, to get a good night's sleep, you can try your ZzzQuil all you want. Or how about if you just try a little bit of lavender and some serenity, either or. Did you know that approximately 216 million people suffer with sleep issues? There's actually a study done, and about 75% of the sleep issues are insomnia and sleep disturbances. A lot of people that I know can't sleep. Now, I usually fall asleep, and when I wake up, one of the first things that I do is I check my covers, and because that'll tell me if I slept decent or not. And usually my covers are like untouched, like I barely even need to do a whole lot to make my bed. So what does that tell me? It tells me that I sleep pretty good. I don't even move, like I'm in a coma, right? Now, if you do have sleep issues, now I usually sleep with a diffuser, and I always put a sleep blend. I don't, there are certain things that I'm not going to run at the end of the day. I'm not going to run peppermint or rosemary. Those are things that actually give you alertness. And when you're going to bed, you want everything to calm down. You don't want to be all hyper alert, right? So Serenity is a wonderful smelling blend that I fell in love with. It was probably one of my first favorites in doTERRA. Here are some other sleep oils. Lavender again, Serenity, Roman chamomile, clary sage, and vetiver. Me and Lou, this was a couple of years ago, me and Lou were doing an essential oil class, and Lou pulled out the vetiver and let one of the guests try it, and within minutes she was practically falling asleep at the table. I don't know if Lou remembers that or not. He'll probably say something about it at the end of class.
It was hysterical.
Yes, it was very funny. Lou, you can share about that at the end of the class. I'm almost done here. Rosemary. Just wanted to highlight rosemary. Why? Because it is an oil that deserves to be highlighted. It is a wonderful oil. Smells amazing. It wakes you up. It's good for if you're trying to concentrate, if you're trying to study, if you're trying to work, if your kids are being homeschooled. Whatever be the case, if you want alertness, rosemary is going to be your best friend. Not only is it good for your brain, it is good for your hair as well. I use rosemary almost every time I take a shower. I mix it in with my shampoo. It is wonderful. It's good for your eyebrows. It's good for your eyelashes. Just don't get it in your eyes. Be very careful for that. What I do is I dilute it. And then I just don't put it in my eyes. That's all. But anyway, putting this in your shampoo, what I usually do is I have in my shower, I have rosemary, I have clary sage, and I have peppermint. And I alternate. I always use peppermint, and then I use either rosemary or clary sage along with it. And it's wonderful, wonderful for your hair. What else does it do? Provides relief from respiratory infections. It removes bad breath and oral bacteria. It's a good remedy for stress and depression. It's effective in reducing symptoms of herpes, which, okay, we don't need to talk about that right at this moment. Cures indigestion, relieves constipation and bloating, stimulates blood circulation, relieves pain, boosts immune system and mental activity, tones the skin, removes dryness, and prevents acne. And then last but not least, makes hair grow longer and stronger, which is what we all want and need. So I had to put this, I had to kind of cut and splice this to get it to fit in here well, but look at these diffuser blends. I really want to try every single one of them. Why? Because I don't have these ones in my book. I've got a couple different diffuser blend books over there, but I do not have these. So rosemary is definitely an awesome oil. I wanted to put this in here because I thought this was incredible. Epstein-Barr. Now, I code Epstein-Barr, mononucleosis. It is debilitating. People, and I mean, when you hear these symptoms, you're going to think, wow, that sounds just like COVID. The symptoms are extreme fatigue, sore throat, fever, swollen lymph nodes, enlarged spleen, swollen liver, and a rash. I had mono when I was a young girl. I was in junior high. And I remember I missed school for a long time. I think I was out of school for about 6 weeks, and I still have a scar. It's behind my ear. It's where I had a swollen lymph node that it literally, it deformed just that area back there. I still have a bump from it because it deformed the actual bone that's back there. Just amazing and incredible. I don't remember how very sick I was. I just remember that I was very sick and I was not allowed in school. I was not allowed around anybody. Mononucleosis. And look at what essential oils can potentially do for this debilitating virus. Okay, take a screenshot if you would like, or you can go on YouTube to take a look at the protocol for Epstein-Barr or mono. All right, wanted to just really quick go through a couple clever ways to reuse essential oil bottles. Why? Because what I was talking about at the very beginning of class, remember I talked about I have a box that's called the graveyard. I have got so many empty essential oil bottles that I would love to be able to recycle, and you can recycle. But there are things that you can do with your old empty essential oil bottles. This is one, and I thought this was just so cute. You know how everybody's got lights everywhere, right? How cute is that? That the bottle can actually just fit right over and attach onto that. I thought this was absolutely adorable. Something that would be easy enough for kids to make. But look at how easy. I mean, a paper clip, a bottle, a little flower that you can get from the dollar store with a little bit of twine. Just so cute. This one I thought was really cute. You can actually buy these little roller tops from like Oil Life or Aroma Tools and just put them on. This is one that I want to make. I thought this was just adorable. Just a little piece of wood and a couple little, bottles. You can hot glue them on there with a little bit of ribbon. And there you go. I just thought this was so cute. I definitely want to make that one. Again, you can go to oillife.com. You can get the little sprayers that actually fit in there. Just some really great ways. And, these could be some products that, that I give away at the end of classes. I thought this was so cute. I just found it. I thought, those with kids might be interested in aromatherapy Play-Doh. You make the Play-Doh, then you put in a couple drops of oil and, you get your aromatherapy while you're playing with Play-Doh. I just thought it was just so cute. Very quickly, candles versus diffusers. Look at candles. They are a fire hazard. They usually put off toxic synthetic scent, dangerous pollutants. They can be costly, especially if you use Yankee Candle that I used to use. Look at what they contain. I can barely even say those words, but look at the essential oil diffusers. Purifies the air, safe for all, uplifts the mood, pennies per drop. They're way cheaper than candles. Customized, you can customize your scent. If you want more peppermint smell or more lemon smell or more this smell or that smell, you can customize it however you want. No synthetics added, and it lowers stress. So if you ask me, it's a win-win everywhere. I wanted to include this because this is the product of the month. We have 2 more days to get free cedarwood with a 125 PV purchase by the 15th of the month. Cedarwood is an unbelievably wonderfully smelling oil. I think I was diffusing it actually last night. My daughter loves lemongrass. She diffused lemongrass all the time. I have really come to love lemongrass. And this month, lemongrass is super cheap. There is no reason not to have a few bottles. I'm going to order a couple of bottles of this because they're only $8.50 for 250 drops. And this oil is powerful. I would say out of any oil, maybe with the exception of frankincense, there is no oil that is more versatile than lemongrass. And if you don't believe me, I was just taken back when I look in my book. I've got it's a huge book here, and when I look up lemongrass, and I see all of the uses for lemongrass. Okay, this is what it looks like. Okay, what it says, and this is just the top uses for lemongrass: joint, tendon, and ligament pain, insect and parasite repellent. You use it for cooking. Cancer and tumors, blood pressure and cholesterol. It will bring it up or down as needed. Hypo and hyperthyroidism, bladder and kidney infections and bladder and kidney stones, digestive issues, emotional balance, and that's only the top uses. Way more uses. For $8.50, look at what this oil can do for you. So again, kind of reiterating some of the things that I just said, but look at this: lupus, carpal tunnel, gastritis, varicose veins. I just think it's just unbelievable, And so, when you say to an essential oil, are you essential? Right? This is my essential oil pep talk, right? Which oil is essential? Well, they're all essential. They're all essential oils. So here are the ways that you can get these oils into your life, into your home. There is it's a kit out there. It's called the Healthy Start Kit. This is the cheapest way to get these oils into your home. You get 10 of the top oils plus a diffuser, plus I had to add this onto the side, a free Citrus Bliss. Now, if you've never smelled Citrus Bliss, you are definitely missing out. This is, I used to use this oil as a perfume. I haven't in a while, but I used to use it as a perfume. I have it diffusing downstairs right now. It smells wonderful. Absolutely love it. And that is free when you purchase this kit. Or it's also free when you purchase this kit. This is 10 oils again, but this is 3 times the size of these oils, plus a bigger diffuser, and it is certainly not 3 times the price. So, live life one drop at a time. That is my closing quote. And I am going to end my screen share and open up to all these beautiful faces. And well, hello. So that's the end of today's class. I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was very, very interesting for me to put it together. And I'm going to open it up for Lou to share for a few minutes. And go right ahead, Lou. Oh,
Thanks, Barbara.
Let me stop the recording.
Stop the recording.